Okay, time to talk about muscle tissue. We did epithelial, we did connective, on to muscle. Here are the standards, objectives, pause and peruse if you'd like. Okay, by this point, this diagram should look super familiar to you. Again, we're only focusing on the tissue level and one specific type. So what are we doing? Muscle tissue. Remember, we talked about this in the introduction. Muscle tissue includes skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. It has actin and myosin fibers, and its function is for contraction. Let's move on to the specifics of muscle tissue. So, skeletal muscle tissue. The cells in skeletal muscle tissue are long, cylindrical, striated, multinucleate, which means more than one nucleus. The functions are for movement, to guard the entrances and exits of our body. It generates heat when we shiver, also just through contraction, so it really helps to maintain our body temperature, and it does protect internal organs. The location is in skeletal muscle. It has limited repair, so it can't divide. It has some stem cells, so there can be some repair, but it's limited. The nerve activity, it's usually required for contraction, so it's voluntary. Skeletal muscle tissue is voluntary muscle. Again, voluntary. Here's what it looks like. You could see the striations or stripes, and you could see the large collections of nuclei. Cardiac muscle tissue. The cells are short and branched, also striated, but one nucleus, and they have a unique feature called intercalated discs. And these intercalated discs allow those cardiac muscle cells to communicate quickly with each other to allow contraction in a coordinated fashion. The functions are to circulate blood and maintain our blood pressure. The location is only in the heart. It has limited repair, again, similar to skeletal muscle. So some divide, there are no stem cells, okay? So if your heart gets damaged, it's a limited possibility of repair. Nerve activity is not required for contraction, so it just happens through an electrical conduction system, which we will talk about. And cardiac muscle tissue is involuntary, means outside of your conscious control. Here's what cardiac muscle tissue looks like. You can see fewer nuclei. You can still see stripes. And right here, here's where I'm going to draw your attention. Right here, this feature right here would be the intercalated discs. Those are the connections between cardiac cells, allowing them to communicate effectively with each other. And then we have smooth muscle tissue. The cells are short, spindle-shaped, non-striated. So here's the muscle type where you won't see striations. And usually the nucleus is one nucleus, and it's usually in the center. The functions are to move food, to move urine, for reproductive secretions, to move those. It controls the diameter of our respiratory passages as well as our blood vessels. So it's found in blood vessels, also digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive organs. It can repair. There's more stem cells, so it's able to divide. So this muscle will be able to repair with damage. And again, the nerve activity is not required for contraction here, so involuntary, so outside of your conscious control. Here's what smooth muscle looks like. You can see in the top picture a centralized nucleus. You don't see striations, no stripes. What type of muscle tissue is this? Well, I gave you a big hint if you remember which one has that feature. Cardiac muscle. What type of muscle tissue is this? Can you figure it out? That's skeletal, striations, okay? I don't see any intercalated discs. What type of muscle tissue is this? Well, that's smooth. There's no striations, no stripes. What type of muscle tissue lines internal organs? Smooth. There you have it. This was a short one, all about muscle tissue, and you know it. I hope you learned something new today.